Next on our list is that we're going to customize Photoshop. The way it's showing up right now is not what we want. Okay, we want to have the maximum screen space available to us so that we can see our pictures bigger and brighter. I know it might feel comfortable to see your desktop back there, but it's really not that important. Okay, so what we want to do is we want to get rid of some of this stuff down here. Now this stuff is the dock, and the dock is just simply shortcuts to the programs that you need on a regular basis. And you can customize this dock to suit your needs. Here they're called aliases. On a PC Windows box, these are called shortcuts. And it's very simple to get rid of the dock. Here we go. We're going to go up to the upper left hand here to the black Apple menu. And this is where you control a lot of the things for the computer itself. So we're going to go to System Preferences or Dock. There's actually two ways to get here. I'm just going to go to this guy saying Dock and turn hiding on. There's a keyboard shortcut. I could use that as well. Option Command D. Option Command D. If you're in a Mac lab, you can look down on your keyboard and it says Option on the keys, or it says Command, or it says Control, etc. I'm just going to use this element on the menu right here. And you'll notice down at the bottom the dock has gone away. But it's not permanent. It's not a big deal. If you want to get back to your dock, all you got to do is bring your cursor down to the bottom. Boom. The dock comes up. You can choose what you need to choose. And when you move off that area, the dock goes away. Very simple. Now I want to bring your attention to these guys over here. I know most of you Windows users typically think you just hit the X button and it will cancel out and quit your program. The Mac is a little bit different. If I were to close this here, it's not going to quit Photoshop, it's just going to close this viewer window. And that's not really what I want. Okay, so I'm just going to go to New and do that again. So we still had Photoshop open. If you wanted to quit Photoshop, you can do what I did in a previous movie, and that is to quit Photoshop. Okay, so there's the difference. Now we've got two buttons here. This one, the minus sign, is basically all about minimizing. So if I click on this, it takes that whole thing and shrinks it down and puts that window here in the dock. If I click here, it shows up again. Pretty easy. Okay, but if I hit the green button, it fills the entire screen, which is great. Okay, there's a couple of other changes we want to make. The other thing is I like to teach kind of an old school way of looking at this area here. So notice that I just clicked on this double arrow section, and that changes the tools from single column to double column. That's just the way I like to work. Next thing is that this interface is way dark. This has been something fairly recent in the most recent version of Photoshop. I think the last two versions have been very dark like this. They're trying to make it look kind of mysterious and sexy. And this is not the way I grew up on Photoshop. So there's a couple ways of changing the darkness value. So I'm going to go to the Photoshop menu and go to Preferences. Now Preferences live someplace completely different on a Windows box, and I'll talk about that in a minute. Okay, so we want to go to Interface. So Photoshop menu, Preferences, Interface. And here at the top, I can choose how dark I want my screen. This is the second darkest. There's actually a darker version. You can go darker. But I actually prefer the lightest version. I think it's easier to see all the tools. And then I'm just going to click OK. Okay, and the last thing we want to do is go to this guy right over here. This looks like a magnifying glass, which it is. It's called the Zoom tool. I'm going to click on it, and I'm going to turn Scrubby Zoom off. You'll hear me have a pitch a fit about this in class often because I hate that tool. I like to turn that off. By the way, you can only change that Scrubby Zoom business when you have a document open. Okay? Those are the big changes. We'll go to the next movie.